Hey, I know the video is 25 minutes long, plus, but it's worth it. It's a lot of experience. It's information that people pay me hundreds of dollars per test to do, and I'm sharing it with you for free. So yeah, I know it's long, 25 minutes long. Take your time, sit down, get some coffee, take some notes, and watch the video. It's gonna help you change your life. All right? Do me that favor. Fitness Adaptations here. Welcome to my YouTube channel, my Get in Shape YouTube channel. Hey, before we go any further, do me a favor. Subscribe, turn on your alerts, and please share this video. This is a three-part series of how to get into the best shape of your life. Video number one is about your ideal body weight and body fat. In that video, I'll give you a guide of what your ideal body weight should be, what your ideal body fat should be, and that's going to come in handy in video number three. Video number two is how to calculate your body fat. How to calculate your body fat. This is very important because right now you're going to be at the initial state. So your initial body fat, your current body weight, that's going to give you how much fat mass you have, how much lean body mass you have. Your ideal body weight is going to tell us ideally how much body fat you should have and how much lean body mass you should have. And then in video number three, we create a game plan. And what we're going to do in the third video is, once we know your body fat, once you know your ideal body weight, I show you how to do the math, and then we create your game plan. And then on my nutrition video, I tell you how to calculate your calories, your macros, so you can create your nutrition plan. Ideal here, with these three videos, I'm going to tell you exactly where you stand right now and how long it's going to take you to get to your ideal body weight. What's up, YouTube? Welcome to part two of this, how to reach your ideal body shape. Part one of this whole course, I showed you how to find your ideal weight. Once you know your ideal body weight, now we move on to the next list, which is calculating your current body fat. In the description below, I'm going to put the link to the body fat calculator that I use on my clients as well as myself, and I've been using it for years, and it's pretty good. And I'm going to give you some tips on how to use it. So after I do whatever I got to do on the whiteboard, I'm going to go to the computer, right? And we're going to talk about, you're going to see the formula. I'm going to enter some numbers so you can see how they work, and I'll explain to you what those numbers mean. Okay. Now, first things first. The tool that I use two tools for calculating body fat. For my personal use, I use the Lange Skin Fold Caliper. Okay. I'll put the link below so you can purchase it on Amazon. I also use a skin fold, a plastic skin fold, and they work the exact same way. The plastic skin fold costs about $14, $15. This one is about $200, and it's just more accurate in terms of the millimeters. And this is what it looks like. Okay, so this is the tool that I use to calculate body fat, but the plastic one and this one are very similar results, very similar. And in the end, when you actually input the numbers in the formula, the difference they give is maybe 1 or 2%. So if you're very specific like I am, you can use something more expensive. Or maybe your budget is tight. The plastic ones work just as fine. They work really good. Okay. When you go online and you go to the body fat calculator, it's going to ask you to measure sites, what are called points. And the website, you can see where the points are. So for example, the bicep, it tells you to pinch here. On the tricep, it tells you to pinch here. And when you're measuring, okay, remember you're not grabbing the muscle. So be careful that you don't grab the muscle because you're adding fat that you don't need. What you're trying to measure is the amount of fat between a piece of skin that you pinch, right? So between the muscle and the skin, you have fat. And then when you pinch, right, the caliper is measuring how many millimeters of fat you have, right, between the skin. So it's skin, fat, skin. Okay, that's what the caliper is measuring. How many millimeters of fat do you have, right, on whatever site you're pinching. And then what the formula does is you put those measurements in the formula, and then it gives you a body fat percentage. It also gives you lean body mass, and it also gives you your fat mass. On the website, you have different tests. You have the Jackson-Pollock, you have the Perio, you have the Dornan-Wormsley, and you have like a tape one. For me, the 3-point Jackson-Pollock is very inaccurate. I would not use that. Just forget about it. The 4-point and the 7-point, they're very similar, and I will use that when I'm less than 10% body fat. Maybe even less than 12, you can probably get away with it, but I would say like 12% and under, you will use the Jackson-Pollock. 12% and higher, I will use the Dornan-Wormsley. And if you want to test on yourself, let's say for example you don't have anybody to help you, one of the sites that you gotta use, one of the measurement sites that you gotta use in the Dornan-Wormsley is the subscapular, which is back here. And what I would do is that I would just measure my abdominal in place and use the same formula. Now, the measuring site. So typically, right, my favorite sites to measure, right, will be the bicep, the tricep. These are ones I can measure on my own. My mid-axillary, my suprailiac, my abdominal, my chest, my thigh, and my calf. So these are sites that I can measure on my own. I can't measure my lower back or my subscapular, but with these, they're more than enough to get a reading, to get a number. And you also need your weight. And the weight that you use, right, is first thing in the morning. First thing, right, in the morning. Now, don't worry about if you had a big meal. It does make a difference. If you're just starting out, but this comes with experience. Let's say that you're just starting your diet, and a lot of men, let's say for example, they have a protruding stomach. It means they have a lot of junk in there. And when you start dieting and you do like a little bit of a cleanse, you release that you can lose up to 10 pounds of just junk that you have stuck in there. And those 10 pounds in a body fat test is counted as muscle, it's counted as lean mass. So you want to be careful. And what I say, what I do for people who I test is when they come to me, I weigh them, and then I subtract about 5 pounds of what I believe. If they're just starting out, I'll subtract 5 pounds because it's 5 pounds that might be considered muscle that is not really there. Now, but if you're overall healthy and you're eating, you know, you're going to the bathroom regularly and you don't have any constipation and you're pretty healthy, you can just use whatever number the scale gives you in the morning. But I would subtract maybe 2 pounds just for food that might still be stuck in there. Now, so in my example, this video, we're going to use me as an example. Right now, in my off season, I'm just stuck at home because of the whole quarantine situation. And so let's say I wake up every day at about 175 pounds. So I'm going to put my net weight, I'm going to subtract 5 pounds. So I'm going to put my net weight at 170 pounds. That's my net weight. And then now with the caliper, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to get all my measurements. So we're going to start with the bicep. Okay, so with the bicep, what I do is that I put it and I let it slide and grab, right? And then when I slide and grab, it's going to give me a reading. So if you look right here, okay, you see a little needle. That's the millimeter. So it's stopping for my bicep. It's stopping on right there, about 2. Okay. So if I measure, right, it measures about 2.5. So let's go with 3. Let's measure 3 on the bicep. The tricep, I just go here, behind my arm, same thing, and it's measuring 4. I just let it slide. I don't have a lot of fat, right? So it's easy for me to pinch, and it's measuring around 4 in order for me to look. So I got 4. Now my mid-axillary. The mid-axillary is right here, right? So right in this area where you, it looks like almost like a little wing, and you're gonna measure, and it's measuring 5. So it's at 5. Okay. Now my chest is, I'm gonna measure right here between the nipple and the shoulder. And what I like to do is I tell people to put the arm up like this. It kind of makes this easier to pinch, right? So I definitely put the arm up, and it measures 6 right now. So I'll go here, and it's measuring 6. Okay. So the measurement is 6. Okay. Now suprailiac. Okay, so suprailiac is gonna be right here on the side. So next to the oblique, like between the oblique and the abs, you just pinch, right? And you measure, and it measures 7.5. Okay. So what you want to do on a pinch is you want to grab and pull, right? And then you pinch right in between the skin, right in the middle, right? And it's measuring 7. Okay? I measure 7. The abdominal, same thing. I like to grab with my thumb, right? And I usually go right in the line, like right where the oblique is. I put my index finger there, and then with my thumb, I grab and I pull the skin, right? So this, I'm gonna measure this right here. And that measures, right now, 13. I've gained a lot of body fat being at home. So right here, I pinch, and it's measuring actually closer to 14. So I gotta start dieting again. Measure a few times to secure, make sure that you're getting the right measurement. Right, that one measured 13. So I'm gonna go with 13.5. Abdominal, 13.5. My thigh, okay, so the thigh, same thing. I like to grab, kind of like, I feel it out, so I feel where I can pinch the easiest, right? So here is a little bit of a hard pinch because of the skin and the texture, so I like to go a little bit higher, like the higher quad, right? And then where I can get a nice pinch. So you grab your hand, with your hand, you grab your thigh, and that's wherever it's easiest to pinch, that's where you pinch, right? And that measures 9. Okay? 9. So I have 9. And then my calf, right? So the calf, I put my foot up somewhere, right? So let's say I put it up here, and I pinch right on the side of the calf, right? So I pinch, and I measure 4.5. Listen, don't cut corners, don't under measure, because you're gonna get an inaccurate number. If I had to choose, I would choose all my worst places, my abdominals, my thighs, my lower back, my back, if I could, and my tricep. Whatever numbers are my highest, those are the ones I would use to calculate. I would not do like a 3-point test. The 3-point test is suprailiac, tricep, and chest. My suprailiac, right, is 7, my chest is 6, and my tricep is 4. It's gonna tell me that I'm about 6% body fat, 7% body fat. Impossible. Because if you look at my other measurements, right, if you look at my abs, it's 13.5. My thighs are 9. That automatically brings my body fat up, and the more sides you use, the better. So I can use this for my 7-point test. And again, whenever it asks you for subscapular, use abdominals. Use the measure in your abdominals. Or if it says lower back, use the abdominals. And that way, or if you're gonna do lower back, just go a little bit behind, right? So you can go behind. If you twist enough and you pinch there, you can use that as your lower back. So it'll be like your love handle. So you can use your love handle as your lower back. And let's do that. Let's do that. All right. So I'm gonna go love handle. I'm gonna pinch that. That right there is 16.5. Okay. So my love handle, LH 16 and a half. Okay, we're gonna use this for the formula. And once you have these numbers, right, you're gonna get your body fat. So what we're gonna do right now, we're gonna go to the computer and we're gonna see how much body fat I have based on this, and then I'm gonna tell you whether I think it's accurate, not accurate, and I'll give you more guidance on what you should be doing. But again, all you need, right, is a body fat caliper, and get your numbers, get your weight, and on the description below, I'm gonna put the weight scale that I use, the calipers that I use, so you can purchase them from Amazon. All right, so right now, let's go into the computer, and let's see what my results are. All right, everyone, so here we are at the Linear Software website, and the link is in the description below. And as you can see, right, you can see all the sites, your chest, mid-axillary, your bicep. So it tells you more or less where to measure for each site. And then if you go down here, you're gonna see pounds, inch, whatever you're gonna use. Male, you always gotta make sure you choose male or female. Be careful with this, right? Male, age, and weight. When it comes to age, I always put 30 regardless of what age you are. The reason I do this is because the formulas are very, very biased when it comes to age. And just so you understand why I choose 30. If I put 18 years old and I go through, let's say, the Perillo method or the Jackson-Pollock method, and I put 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 on all the measurements, right? So if you have 1 all the way through the measurements, you should be basically very little body fat. I'm gonna say like 1% body fat. But when you put 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, everything, it'll give you a negative number, like -3, -4%. And it shouldn't give me that number. It shouldn't give me a negative number. It should give me just a very low number. But when I put 30, right, for everyone, if I put 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, it gives me about 1%. And that's what I want. So what I do is that I'll use like the Perillo method or the Jackson-Pollock. I just use age 30. That way, it's always consistent, and I believe that is the most accurate number per my experience. So let's go with my situation. So I'm a male. I'm gonna put here 30. I am 38, but I'm going to put 30. And my weight, I'm gonna use the net weight. Remember, so I have my morning weight, which is 175, and I subtract 5 pounds for food and anything that I might have in my stomach that counts as lean mass as opposed to body fat. But I'm gonna put the 170, right, as my net weight. I always subtract 5 pounds. Once I do that, we're gonna start with the measurements. We're gonna use the Jackson-Pollock first. So my chest measured 6. My abdominal measured 13 and a half. The thigh is 9. Bicep 3. Tricep 4. Subscapular, we're using abdominal, 13.5. Suprailiac 7. Lower back, I'm using the love handle, 16.5. And for the calf, I'm gonna use 6. And you know what, to be more exact, for the subscapular, I'd rather use the love handle, 16.5, as opposed to the abdominal. And then we have the Dornum Worsley, bicep is 3, subscapular is 7, and suprailiac is 7. Sorry, so subscapular, is 16.5. We're using lower back. Okay? And now we're gonna see what each results yield, right? So let's start with the Jackson-Pollock 3. So the Jackson-Pollock 3, right? If you calculate, it says that I'm 9.52% body fat. it says I have 16 pounds of fat and 153 pounds of lean mass, 154. Now, this is awesome because you don't have to do any math. You can just use this formula and you can find these numbers. I show you in the next video how to use these percentages and the body fat and the lean mass to calculate to set up your program, right? And how long it's gonna take you to reach your goal based on your ideal. The video before, we talked about ideal body weight. This one talks about body fat. The last video, number 3, we're gonna put everything together. All right, so I'm definitely not 9.52% body fat. Just, there's no way. If I was 9.52, you would see my abs really defined and not shredded, but I'm definitely more around, in my opinion, per my expertise, I'm around 12% body fat. So definitely I'm not 9.52. If we go to the 7 and I calculate, so the 7 point says I'm 8.82, even worse. I am not 8.852. If I go to the Jackson Pollock 4, it says I'm 8.24, even lower. I'm definitely not 8.24. So again, that's why I always say, use these formulas when you're 10% and under. When you know you're 10% and under, right? And let's say, for example, your abdominal measures 10 or less, you will use these numbers. But when your abdominals measure 10 or more, I would go with the Perio method. And the Perio says I measure 12.47. That's more like it, okay? I believe I'm more around 12.47% body fat. The Dornan-Worsley says 16.34. I definitely don't think I'm 16.34, but this is a good number to use when you're more, when you're in the higher percentage body fat, when you're around 20% body fat for a man, maybe 25% for a woman. I will use a Dornan-Worsley. And, but honestly, guys, just choose one. Let's say, for example, let's just choose, you choose the Perio method every single time. Even from the beginning, you choose the Perio method. As long as you're consistent with it, what matters is the percentage. So for example, mine tells me I am 12.5% body fat. And as long as my numbers keep going down, let's say my chest goes down to 4, my abdominal goes down to 10, etc. My body fat is gonna go down. And let's say in a month. So let's say in a month, right? After a month, let's say my chest goes down to 5. Let's say my abdominals goes down to 10. My thigh goes down to, let's say, 7. My bicep goes down to 2. My triceps, let's say, stays the same. Let's say my love handle, right, goes down to 12. My suprailiac goes down to 5. All right, my lower back goes down to 12 because I'm using my subscapular and the lower back for the same measurement, even though I messed up, but again, it's pretty close. And let's say my calf measures 4, okay? And I calculate. And now my body fat says 9.69. So at this point in time, I think 9.69 would be pretty accurate. My body weight will also go down. Let's say it goes down to 165. Let's say I lose 5 pounds. So let's say I go down to 170, but I'm gonna use 165 as my guy. So it says I go down to 10%. Again, I don't really care too much about, I'm not gonna go and just because I got leaner, I'm gonna use the JP7 to get a lower number. No, I'm gonna use the Perio and then I'm gonna compare the results. Last time I was 12% body fat, now I'm 10% body fat. As long as I use the same formula, right? I have a good guide of how much body fat I lost. But I'm not gonna use the Perio method, which is gonna give me 12% body fat, tells me I have 20 pounds of body fat, and then I use the Jackson Pollock 4, and it drastically reduces my numbers down to 6% body fat. And even though on the scale I only lost like 6 pounds, you know, now because I used a different formula, it says I lost 10 pounds of body fat and I gained all this muscle. Impossible. That's misleading, right? And that's what a lot of people do who sell you products online. They use different formulas to calculate their body fat. They tell you, oh man, check this out. I gained all this muscle and I lost all this body fat in 1 month. And in reality, they just use like different formulas. They manipulated data to sell you a product. No, use the same, be consistent with the formula that you use, and that way you know how much body fat you're losing. So I hope this makes sense, right? And so this is step 2. Find your body fat, find your lean mass, then find your ideal weight, right? And when you find your ideal weight, you're gonna calculate your lean mass, you're gonna calculate your body fat, how much fat mass you have, and you use both of those numbers to come up with the game plan. Again, so this video is about how to calculate your body fat and how to get these numbers. In the next video, we're gonna talk about creating a game plan using your current body fat and using your ideal situation, your ideal weight and your ideal body fat, and how long and what type of program you should be doing in different scenarios. So I hope you like this video, and give it a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe, share it, and remember, there's a lot of information down in the description below. The caliper that you need to buy, the weight scale you need to buy, and links to the other videos, including my workout videos that I do live 5 times a week. Again, like this video, subscribe, and I'll see you on the last video on how to create your game plan.